All right. Welcome back, all you Point 3 people, to another episode of the Point 3 podcast. It is November. What's the date? It's November what?
13th.
13th. Oh, yeah. It's insane. It's insane. The year is almost done, which is wild to say because we were planning for end of year, like beginning of October. And like, yeah, we have time. And then it's like, maybe we don't have time. But anyways, episode 24 of the Point 3 podcast. We have a lot to talk about and speculate and just consume. Today, we're going to be focusing on the state of comic book shows, superhero shows, MCU and DCU. One is in full swing, the other is about to kick off starting next month. So, of course, Lou, Spider Brando, Hero Scroll. We are here to give you all of our thoughts and all the goodies. But first, before we get into that, listen, y'all, if you're not a part of our Discord, you have to join. There's tons of great things that are coming up in 2025. We want you to be a part of the conversation, spread some Point 3 positivity, get to know some people, meet some more people virtually. That's how the Point 3 podcast started. But we hope to see you there. Check out our bio here. Jump on our socials on all of your favorite platforms. We're there doing our thing. But let's not have the people waiting any longer. We're just going to do a quick general piece here. 3 things that we always talk about. Keep watching, keep reading, keep nerding out. We're not going to have one specifically today, but gents, what did you read? What did you watch? Or what did you nerd out about? Spider Brando, we'll start with you.
Ooh. Well, I did all 3. You said we're not doing
the trifecta.
like,
Whatever you want,
specific-
man. Whatever you want.
Okay.
Which one of the 3?
I'm gonna go with reading.
Okay.
Because I finally got to hook myself into Superman by Grant Morrison omnibus. Oh, almost dropped it. That would have been devastating for my keyboard. And this thing cooks. As someone who, as you guys know, I've been on my own road into the Superman war. I finally got through the first couple issues, so like where it goes through like his origin in there. And man, it cooks. It's so good. I love it so much. You got a really cool suit that coincides with the DCU suit very well, obviously. Or the DCU suit is probably based off of this one. And just so much quotable dialogue in here from different lines and scenarios that's like it's just the definition of Superman.
Nice.
And for this being the second Superman book I've read, I think. Yeah, just second. Going from All-Star Superman into this Superman feels like I'm gonna get like a full circle experience, kind of seeing like how All-Star ended and that like version of Superman and portrayal of him and what this one's going into. They started off with Brainiac as the first villain in here. Spoilers, but man,
precursor here.
Man, that was cool. I would absolutely love if the DCU Superman starts off the way that this book starts off. I think it is such a good hook into, I guess, the character, and could see it translating into a movie pretty well.
I like that. All right. We still have some time before Superman comes out, of course. So definitely check back here because we are going to be debriefing everything that you need to know. And Spider Brando, you're proving to be the guru here as we get closer to it. You got a lot of good stuff cooking over there. Like it.
I've been loving Superman, man. That's weird to say, but
just the double man. Well, speaking of another man, Hero Scroll.
Ooh.
What were you doing this week? What were you watching, or what were you reading, or what did you nerd out about?
So to be quite honest, I haven't been doing a whole lot of that over the past weekend. But one thing that I did see a lot of on social media, so I guess it'll be kind of watching, is a lot of Superman and Lois for the CW. And Lou, I know you are a big fan of that show, big supporter of it, and I think more people online are now like jumping on it now that it's kind of winding down and
Yeah.
kind of sunsetting. But yeah, some of the clips that I was seeing on TikTok, because my
I
TikTok
need
was
this
just kind of
Yeah. Honestly.
yeah, just kind of some of the clips that were coming up throughout the whole series, and then specifically the past couple episodes have been really, really nice to see. And I think it makes me want to watch the series more, because I think you talking about it already made me want to watch it a lot. But I think this is definitely, seeing everybody's hype around it more and more, seeing some of the clips, obviously, taken from best part of the episode. But it looks interesting and it looks really good. And it looks like a really good portrayal of his Superman. And I remember that when I was watching some of the CW, I think it was like The Flash and Arrow, those crossover episodes, his Superman was pretty good to watch. So, hopefully having more of it just,
Yeah.
keeps it going.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Spider now.
I was gonna say that show's been another show on my list for my Superman adventure. I think I've just been kind of waiting till this final season finishes out so I can just binge it all at once.
Yeah. It's good. It's good, to be honest with you. Like, if this was standalone and let's say the show came out and it was like a Netflix exclusive or something like that, I think there'd be a lot more praise and visibility for the show. I just think that CW stigma and soundtrack really kind of bog it down. But I mean, it stayed, to be honest with you, top of mind for me in terms of perception of Superman and like a good interpretation. And I'll be honest with you, I did not love the casting of Tyler Hoechlin as, Superman. I'm out here thinking he's like from Teen Wolf still, and I'm thinking MTV days. But yeah, I think Hero, the clip that you're referring to, I thought it was really good. Like really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah, and Minty, you see, that's what I've been seeing a lot of people say online, that he's the best modern one. And I've seen people say he's top 2, top 1, top 3. And I think obviously that'll probably, warrant another conversation down the line, who's the best portrayal. But from the clips I've seen, and, hopefully he is that. Or for me, I know for a lot of people he is. So
yeah. No, it's good. It's good. Superman never really left, but for a lot of people still isn't here. So less than a year away. That's 2 for 2. I'm gonna switch it up and go to the gaming world though. Guys, I've been nerding out about Call of Duty so hard still. So hard still. I
don't got a background for that. I was not expecting Call of Duty.
Yeah. Sorry. It's just all consuming, and it's been, I mean, between Sparking Zero, which helped me, fantastic, and it kind of was the catalyst for me to pick up a box full of Funkos that were Dragon Ball inspired. Actually, I still have to do an unboxing for a year's worth of Funkos, but that'll be exciting. Actually, stay tuned to the TikTok for that one when we come back. I know I lied and said I was back and I flaked, but I was like, do I do like a before? Yeah, we'll get back to it. We'll get back to it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's a good time for gaming, honestly.
Dude, it's perfect. Like, it's getting cold now. You're like, what do I do? Maybe I stay up a little bit later. Maybe I go to sleep a little earlier. Whatever. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's been good times. Spider-Man, no. How's Sonic? Have you been playing it?
I have. The only times I've played it have been the 2 streams that I've done, and it's fun. I suck at the game so much, but it is so fun. I feel like I'm still learning how everything reacts. It's like a weird timing playing it on an Xbox controller. Even though they're made for like these modern controllers, it's just, I don't know, it just feels like there's some weird timing with everything. And I'll be like holding the left stick to like jump forward, and then I'll just like still be facing backwards and just jump backwards, and it's been pissing me off. But go watch my recent live streams to see my terribleness and rage at the game. It's been very fun though, and it's just like I've been obsessed trying to get these S ranks in these little challenges, and I got to start playing the story a little more so I could get to the shadow part. Because I'm still on, as one who never played Sonic Generations, I got to go through the Sonic Generations part and then the Shadow Generations part. But I've heard the Shadow Generations is just like insane, so I need to get there as soon as possible. And fun fact, we are 38 days away from Sonic 3.
How many minutes and seconds?
That I don't know, but
No, I'm just kidding.
Ball drop.
that I've
Ball
been
dropped. Fake fan.
I guess it would be 37 days. Yeah, no, I'm not even gonna try to convert that right now.
Sorry, you get the Sonic timer on your phone. Just wow, that was like a 0.3 app countdown.
Yeah, I was gonna say we'll probably have to put an insert for one somewhere around here. But yeah, no, those have been fun streams to watch back on.
I haven't
yeah.
watched back on them, so I'm scared. I'm just
You
scared.
should. They're fun.
Just gotta press B. That's
Just-
all I
yeah.
gotta say.
Just press B.
Dude, the Adventure 2 ones are ridiculous, man. Oh my god.
No, it's getting exciting though, because now that the year's kind of wrapping up, it's more so big updates for games that are coming out. Like Fortnite's
Marvel
doing the
Rivals
big
next month.
OG. Yeah, Marvel Rivals kind of the last bigger release, I think. Everything else is kind of more low key, more updates, DLCs, which it's never bad. But then like February, March, that's when we're ramping back up with Monster Hunter and probably a bunch of other stuff that hasn't been revealed yet. Next month, Game Awards, so we'll get some very cool reveals and we'll get to celebrate the best of the year, which this year has been really good, really, really good, actually. I think people forget how good it was, even way back at the start.
Is Spider-Man winning anything?
Spider-Man was last year, so no.
Oh, that was last year.
Yeah, Spider-Man was last year, and it
Oh
didn't
my
win anything.
gosh, that was.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude, the downfall of Spider-Man 2 needs to be studied.
But there wasn't no downfall. That's the thing.
I feel like there's been a huge public reception downfall of it post that Game Awards show when it didn't win all those Game of the Years. Everybody started shitting on it. Now with the no DLC type thing, it's just kind of like
I think the DLC thing is very niche. There's a very small, loud community, I think, of Spider-Man 2 haters that I don't really think they understood what I feel like with the Insomniac leaks, between that kind of, the problem was that last year it was competing against games that were just a different breed of game, right? Because I think it was Baldur's Gate
and
3.
Elden Ring.
No, Elden Ring was a couple years before that, but Baldur's Gate 3 I think was the big one. And the bigger thing with Baldur's Gate is it's just way too different of a game. That was a D&D experience come to life that literally gave you limitless possibilities. And Spider-Man 2 was Spider-Man 2. I think Spider-Man 2 is great, but I think I saw, I think it was either an Instagram post or a Twitter post or I forget where, that said that Spider-Man 2 was just a very safe game, and it is. Like, it doesn't try to do anything super crazy. But then you got Baldur's Gate 3 doing, all these crazy things, all the little decisions in the game, being a gameplay mechanic, making you do whatever you want. I think that's why people kind of started crapping on it, but that's not fair to the game because it's not the same type of game.
Yeah.
So
that's a good point.
I think some people just kind of got them mixed up,
That's a very good point.
It's not the same. So I feel like it's kind of unfair to be like, oh, Spider-Man 2 is trash.
People just love to compare apples and oranges nowadays as well.
Exactly. And because for example, I think a very good example is a lot of people are trying to talk about who's going to win Game of the Year this year, and there's a couple contenders kind of towards the front, but like no one really knows what it is. But some of those games you can kind of compare them to each other. Last year was kind of a free for all.
Mhm.
I can't remember the full list, but you had Baldur's Gate 3, you had Spider-Man 2, you had I can't even remember what else, but it wasn't even similar in any shot. So this year you've had a lot of great games that took the internet by storm. With like Helldivers 2,
Lethal
Astrobot,
Company.
yeah. I'm trying to think what else. Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. There's a bunch of games really. So it'll be interesting to see. I think. You had Elden Ring DLC, which was basically its own other game. I mean, what a wild year. And next year is going to be just as crazy.
2025, the revival of everything. I feel like 2025 is just going to be like overwhelming for people to the point where there are people like it's going to be so good that people are like, this year sucks. It's just
it's going to be one of those years where I think like people
I think that's how 2026 is going to be.
Probably too. But I think of next year where you have like, I think Monster Hunter Wilds is February or March. And there's something else that like, I think it comes out within like a week of it. Like within a week of it releasing. And then you have GTA 6, which is probably going to be huge when that drops. You have a new Pokemon game, more than likely. You have a bunch of stuff. And that's even the ones that haven't, that's only the ones that we know about.
Sign me up.
That, there's a great possibility there's going to be stuff that we have no idea that's coming out.
That's refreshing.
So,
anticipation and hype. That's what we like.
Much like the superhero genre.
Fair enough. And to that point, if you've been living under a rock and or haven't been on social media, but somehow find your way to our YouTube channel, AGATHA All Along finished up. It's done. MCU project that, to the surprise of many, took reviews and just the internet by storm. I think it's safe to say, as we've been tracking that was not on the 0.3 list of most anticipated shows as a consensus. However,
as a consensus.
Well, listen, 1 out of 3 ain't it.
It's not the majority.
No.
No, that's what I'm saying. That I'm happy you said
Yes.
that it hasn't been consensus, because I have been excited for it.
Yes, and we're gonna get into the thoughts of the general feel of things and kind of talk about, again, the title of this video, the state of superhero TV shows. But then also Penguin just finished up a few days ago, and that's another one where I think there was a lot more anticipation for that show, but it exceeded people's expectations, which is kind of wild to say as well. So with that, Hero Scroll, I'll flip it to you first. What's the general feel right now for comic book TV shows, mainly on the streaming platforms of Max and Disney Plus for the DCU, not DCU, but just DC and Marvel?
Yeah, I think for a little bit it was on kind of a life support, right? Or not life support, but it was definitely on the weaker side of things, where the MCU kind of had a couple good shows and then you kind of got a lot of fluff in between, right? Where last year we had Loki season 2, kind of an upswing, and then right after we got Echo, and then we got What If season 2, which kind of dragged some people down. We also had a couple other seasons of stuff in between that was kind of like, okay, whatever. Nothing great, nothing phenomenal. Nothing that would necessarily connect to the greater universe, I think, and that's still probably many people's complaint with the MCU, where it just doesn't do anything, right? But I will say, and I think it's only helped because of things like Deadpool and Wolverine, where it was a very big Deadpool and Wolverine, I think, carried the superhero genre up, like in general, all around. And then I think this year, with the reveals of everything that we've been getting for next year, with like Fantastic Four, the upswing in trailer qualities for the MCU movies like Cap and Thunderbolts, and then Superman news coming out every so often and making it look cool. I think it's on an upswing. Daredevil, yeah. Daredevil, it's like people are excited for both MCU, and then I think the Penguin really pushed that even further now, where I know we said kind of that it was more anticipated, but I think a lot of us were still kind of like, do we need a Penguin show?
For sure.
Do we want a Penguin show? Not in a bad way, because obviously Colin Farrell's Penguin crushed it in the Batman, but I don't think many people were clamoring for a show. Now we are out of this, and based on online reaction, screaming for more, like salivating at the mouth for Batman Part 2. So it's on an upswing now.
Yeah, I mean, I think to that point, we here at the Point 3 podcast, I think we have a pretty good pulse, and we have a pretty diverse following, fan base, groups of people that we talk to. And the nice thing is, I think, with the two players, the main players in the game right now, take Prime out of it, no boys, no Gen V, no Invincible, which is coming. You have some of your Marvel heavy hitters that are coming up to bat. So by default, you have a little bit more anticipation, especially for Daredevil in March. But DC Studios has done a really nice job, I think, showcasing what's possible. To your point, Hero, with the Penguin, how it's connected. Like, come on, I know it's not the main universe on either side, DC or MCU, but the fact that we got a banger of a movie with the Batman, a spin-off that didn't include the central hero, but the central setting. Come on. I mean, it's what fans want. I know we kind of go back and say, like, do we really want the Penguin show? But it's like the show delivered on things that we want. World building, character building, references, tie-ins, crossovers. Like, people, no, I mean, I don't want to give any spoilers, but like at the end of it, you kind of were going through and you're like, I hope this happens. And they're like, and then it does. And you're just like, yo, like, yes, like the satisfaction that you get from this show specifically, it's everything and more that you could want. You go to that one restaurant and you're like, I love this place, but then you're just like, every time you taste it, you're like, yeah, it just tastes better and better. That's really how I think the Penguin build went, from start to finish, and then getting confirmation that, hey, this is going to lead right into the Batman 2. I mean, you see it all over the internet. Is it essential to watch the Batman to enjoy the Penguin? No. Is it essential, do you think, to watch the Batman 2? Maybe not, but like that in itself, I think, is a great thing. To know that there's such a successful show that leads into a movie that built anticipation, but you're like, I'm literally just anticipating the world for the next installment to come in it.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. And I think another part of what made, I think, maybe this year especially such a good year for the TV shows, or at least shows in general, at least for this year, right? What if season 3 is still peeking
To be
through?
determined.
Yeah, so, and you guys know how I feel on What If already, but they delivered on what they promised, at least. You know, with Agatha, they said, hey, you're going to be kind of getting, you know, more of that mystical MCU. You got that. Penguin, I think they said it from the beginning. Hey, they called it the epic crime saga before, and we were kind of like, oh, okay, so it's going to be more of a crime focus. And yeah, you got the Penguin story as he rose all the way to the top. Perfect. X-Men 97, a revival of the classic. And guess what? It blew out everybody's mind because it was that and then more. You know, I just think this year, because there wasn't anything like maybe not a great example, but I feel a little bit Loki season 2, where we were like, hey, we're expecting a lot more time shenanigans, and we didn't get that. Loki season 2 is good, but did it expand anything more into the MCU? Not really.
Yeah.
Like, we're still left with a lot more questions than we are answers. For example, though, Penguin, we have a lot more answers. There's other questions that come from those answers, but nothing that we are left baffled with or just kind of completely confused or in the dark about.
Yeah. Definitely. In Spider-Man, I'm curious what you think about this too, because, you know, we all do this in our spare time. This isn't our main job. This does not pay the bills. However, I think we were all at the point, especially last year, of like, and even really to this point with both shows, it's like, where do we allocate our time? Do we really want to invest in these as they release weekly? Do we let them stack? Do we binge them? Like, how do you want to consume these? And I think there are a lot more people in the last, few months who are, it's on my time type of thing. And I think I'm definitely can raise my hand and say that's me, of like, I'm not moving heaven and earth so that I can watch these shows. Like, it's just like, if I'm here, I'm here. If I'm not, I'm not. I'll be spoiled and be okay with that. Whereas for like Loki season 2, I was like, I have to see it as soon as it drops. Don't talk to me. Don't look at me. Like, it has to happen as soon as that drops. But Spider-Man, no, like, what is your perception going into both, these two kind of core shows for rival companies? But what's your perception going into it, and has it really changed anything for you coming out of it with these two specifically?
I don't think, to answer the second question, I don't think anything's really changed with how I consume things, but the way I did approach both of these shows was, it was kind of also on my time. I was able to fit in a lot of the Agatha episodes, like, night of watching them post podcast. It just fit in my schedule compared to the Penguins hour-long episodes, or close to an hour-long episodes, that I didn't really want to drag myself through post podcast, or
Right.
like, sit through really all at once. I still have to finish Penguin, not gonna lie. But now that it's all been out, I've kind of like set myself to the side that I know by the time the show gets out, my schedule will be cleared and I could just binge it all at once over the course of like a weekend, compared to, it's like, for me, if I get invested in a show like The Penguin, I'm gonna obsess over it every single week. Kind of like how I did with Agatha, and talked about it every single week that we did the live stream that it was going on. But it would have like consumed my life to a point where it's not good for me, especially with the episodes being an hour long, and I've just been too busy on the weekends, or just too busy to move heaven and earth, like you said, to make the time for it. Now, I've been eager as hell to watch it, and throughout all of my friends texting about it in our group chat and stuff, I've just been still like, just no spoilers. I still gotta watch it, and they respected it. And I haven't been spoiled much on the show, which is surprising. Um and I think that was another reason why I chose Agatha more to watch, because my timeline is more focused to Marvel stuff. So like second, I'd hop on Twitter, Instagram, just huge Agatha spoiler. Whereas I knew I could avoid many DC spoilers, so or Penguin
Interesting.
spoilers. So it's weird. It's very, very weird.
I think it's because you didn't delete Aubrey Plaza hot out
My
of your
search history.
your search history. So
Well, you put some respect on this Lady Death.
You know, I think that may have had something to do with it.
Hey, I'm not the one that makes algorithms. Ask I don't know.
You know, if you're listening, which you probably are to every person in the United States, in all seriousness, I know we're focusing on these two shows specifically, but I want to bring up a point because I think social media
I still
definitely
have to finish The Boys. I just remembered that show came out, and
Mhm.
I still have to finish season 5.
Oops.
That was random.
Even that delivered though from when it was coming out. Like people were hyped.
Oh, okay. Maybe we can get to that because I have a question for you guys for that. But for this specifically, we have our central characters, right? We have our title characters. We have Agatha, who obviously comes from another project, and this is a spin-off from WandaVision. And then we have, Penguin, who is obviously a spin-off, like we said, from the Batman, Battinson's Batman, right? However, there were two characters that kind of came, one more so out of nowhere than the other. Spider-Man, or I'll kick it to you actually first, Hero Scroll. Are you surprised at the level of interest that people took in, I guess, saying that Sophia from the Penguin was such an integral character to the success of Penguin, and also Aubrey Plaza's Rio / Lady Death being, such a highlight of Agatha? Were you surprised that it was two sub characters that got this much spotlight, given how people in general public have really treated shows, let alone side characters for these shows?
Yeah. No, I don't. I don't think it's surprising. I just think all the shows were trying to do the same thing. It's probably more so Agatha and Penguin just executed it a little more in the ways that people wanted it. Especially, I think more so maybe with Sophia, where she was just based on her actress's skills, just kind of she stole the show, and then giving her own episode really helped it as well to flesh it out. But again, because they delivered on the promise of what this series was going to be, again, part of seeing the criminal underground of Gotham, she is part of that. So you need to see more than just Penguin, because you need to see what he's going up against. You need to see what he's trying to beat out. Same thing with Agatha. You need to see what she's trying to beat out. In this case, Lady Death, and you need to see how that relates to her, and Spider-Man, you could probably talk a little bit more on that one, but I just think these sub characters were the same things that they were trying to do in other shows. They just didn't really, execute them as well. Maybe, for example, I think of Captain America and the Winter Soldier, where you had the new Falcon, where maybe he should have been featured a little more, Maybe he should have been in a couple more scenes instead of now feeling like, okay, where is he coming from now in Brave New World? Now if Sophia comes out in the Batman Part 2, oh, that's cool because I know her story. Yeah. I know where she was left off. I know this character. Same thing with Lady Death. If she comes out in something else, oh no, I know that character. I know what she's about. So.
Yeah. No, I love that too, and I think the big thing that I always like to point out, and I know, no spoilers on this, but it's just really funny to see that dynamic. And I'm going to pull X-Men 97 into this. Is I think for the first time you had, I guess, a trio of shows, plus if you want to count the boys, but we'll talk about that separately at a different time, where your protagonist is favorable and likable. Your antagonist, I think a lot of people are tired of like the anti-hero, the villain is redeemable and lovable and all this kind of stuff. I think you have, a few shows that take that in a different direction. But Spider Rando, specifically with Agatha, I'm curious of your thoughts because it's a show that I think a lot of people who are like hardcore MCU fans or diehard MCU fans still reject. However, the numbers don't lie, and it is one of the most successful MCU shows or Disney Plus shows to date, rivaling Loki numbers, which is insane. For a lot of people, that is the top show for the MCU. But to Hero's point, like, if these characters show up again, like, do you feel that they would make a big impact in a future project, whether that's show or movie?
Yes. I definitely think so. I don't know when or exactly how it's going to be executed, but the way it was left off, there's definitely room for more and some cool stuff that can be happened. It's just what was I going to say? Or how do I phrase this? MCU is just such in like a open air because we don't know exactly what's going on, especially compared to like the Penguin, where what's next is the Batman 2.
Yeah.
And then whatever else gets announced in that universe. But with the ending of Agatha, it's like, oh, when are we gonna see these again? And just like how long we're gonna have to wait. Like we talk about this pretty much all the time when we talk about shows. Falcon and Winter Soldier came out 2021. By the time Brave New World comes out in 2025, 4 years later, who's really going to be cared for Cap and Bucky and Thunderbolts? Which Bucky has his supporters, obviously, but it's like there's that disconnection, especially with the Falcon and Winter Soldier that you just talked about. I feel like it's gonna be like that with Agatha and with the Agatha ending of just when it's gonna be next, and if they don't act upon it, a lot of these MCU shows are gonna suffer that fate, unfortunately.
That's my big thing. Agatha generated a lot of praise and positivity, and I think all of us were talking.
I have
Oh,
one
go
more
ahead, go
thing.
ahead, go ahead.
I had a good example of this. You brought up how hardcore MCU fans not really interested. As much as I love the show, I straight up told my friends. I just told one of them just not to watch it because I know he's not gonna like it, and I know it doesn't appeal to everybody. And realistically, everything that happened in this show could be summed up in one paragraph, so that by the next time you do get that, like you do have to see them on screen, it's just like, oh, okay, that's cool. That was my last tidbit I wanted to add.
No, I think that's a great point because I think that takes us into the next level of like, for the state of MCU shows specifically, we'll just stick here for a second. There's still this overwhelming feeling that there's no point to watch some of these shows. And when I say that, think about Agatha beforehand. Scarlet Witch was really a B-level character that was introduced in 2015 that ultimately didn't really peak until 2021 after the Infinity Saga for the most part. I mean, don't get me wrong, she felt pretty good when it came to, Infinity War and then ultimately Endgame, but I would say Wanda's a B character. She's not an Avenger, but she's definitely Avengers level, right? She's not a core OG Avenger. And then you get a spin-off of a B-level character, and that's like Agatha, which is, I would say, like a C-level character. And then now you have Billy and Rio, which I would say are probably D-level characters. So to that point, like, they tried to make us care about like 4 stages below what we really want. And for some people it worked, and for some people they're like, this isn't worth my time, because ultimately if they do show up in the storyline we don't know about, is there really going to be a big impact for a D-level character? I don't know. But on the flip side, with, the DC universe that we have, specifically Reeves universe, I would say the Penguin's a B character who feels like an A character now.
And the thing is, you can see him being. I know a lot of people are saying, Court of Owls, hush, anybody else other than Penguin.
Yeah.
But realistically, if they just go Penguin as the villain for Batman Part 2, I don't think people would be mad.
No.
Especially after this. I think you've made a case now to where you want to see him go up against Batman.
Shit beaten out of him. That's all I've been seeing post finale was like people just rallying the troops for Batman to beat the crap out of him.
But especially because they set up the foundation well in the first one where they interact a lot. They interact so much in that movie. They don't have 20 minutes of screen time together, but the times that they do have is great. And you just keep adding to that. And I think it's to that point. And like you said, people are asking what's the point, but it seems that they're kind of remedying that a little bit where, for example, with X-Men 97 being its own standalone thing, okay, now we know, okay, not only was it great because of our nostalgic childhood and, we get some more X-Men content, but now it's this standalone story that we can watch and enjoy. So season 2, when that comes out, we can really be excited for that.
Mm-hmm.
We can really be excited. So if that's an indication of what's to come, then, for example, the new Spider-Man animated series could do really well if that's what they do. I think there was rumors about it being like another universe or whatever. Mm-hmm. So if it is, and you're just focused on telling a complete solo Spider-Man story, I think that works well for you. And for example, another one, Daredevil. They're already talking about a season 2 way beforehand. So if you're telling us, okay, hey, while this might have bigger MCU implications, it might not, but that you will get a continuation, and you will get a continuation sooner rather than God knows when. Because, for example, Moon Knight, fantastic first season. Up there is one of the best. When are we going to get Moon Knight season 2? We still don't know. Right. When are we going to see Moon Knight? What if season 3? Boo.
Pain.
And I think that kind of goes back to when these studios or the powers that be are choosing what TV shows, not movies, but TV shows. I think you really have to, and I think we're at the point now, and if you guys disagree, definitely, let me know, but I think the purpose of these shows is to spotlight characters that are must-see, but you have to put storylines and narratives in place that make it them must-see after they're done. People are going to watch Daredevil. People are going to watch Moon Knight. But if you don't give people something to kind of sink their teeth into and set up expectations, shout out post-credit scenes, shout out future appearances in movies and shows, that crossover element, I think, has been proven as the top priority for when you see successful shows. Any best show in the MCU, top show, not a good show, but a great show. That's standalone value. Because Hero, to your point, I don't think Moon Knight for most people is consensus top show.
No,
I think. But you talk about Loki, that's darn near consensus for most people, but there's a crossover element that exists within it. Same thing with Batman. Same thing with Penguin. Agatha, there's a little bit of it, but that was more fan manufacturing, in my opinion, to kind of build that bridge that leads to nowhere at this point.
Yeah. I think maybe another point to add kind of to that, and that this might take it more so to, again, a broader scope of the superhero TV now, is kind of going back to what I had said earlier about keeping those promises, where that's such a big part of it, right? Because for the longest time, they kept telling us, yes, this is going to be such an integral part of the MCU. And then again, for example, I'm kind of scared because I think I saw it a little bit before the stream started. That they were talking about what if season 3, and they're like, hey, the tagline, it's there for a reason. It's there because there's something universal. And it's like, that's not good, because if you don't deliver on that now, everybody's going to be like, where the heck is that universal aspect? But so far, most of the other stuff has kept those promises. Again, the Penguin, they told you, hey, from the beginning, this is a villain's story.
Villain.
He is the protagonist of the story, but he is still a villain. At no point do you think that Cobblepot is a great person. At no point. But it's his story.
Yeah.
And they stay to that. X-Men 97.
Actually, it's Cobb.
No, it's not. Anyway, stupidest
My
name
boy
change.
Ty Cobb playing for the New York
Yeah.
Yankees.
The dumb name change. Dumbest name change. Watch Mojo, top 10 dumbest name changes. Number 1. But X-Men 97. Invincible, even, where Invincible had its own set of problems. And I think, again, we've gone into in-depth detail about why that break really messed up the momentum of the show. But even that gave you what it told you it was going to give you. The Boys, same thing, you know? I think if these shows still manage to keep you on your toes while still delivering on what they're actually telling you, then we will be happy. Flashback to this time last year. Echo. The Kingpin is back.
Oh,
He's
the
going
biggest
to be
lie,
great
dude.
and violent and lovely. Guess what he did? The most violent thing. He shot someone. Oh, but he didn't shoot someone. He got someone else to shoot someone. And he beat up an ice cream man.
He deserved it.
And then he got touched in the heart.
Changed forever.
Changed forever. Boom.
Okay, hang on for a second, because I think that's a really good point to make. Unfortunately, because they are the biggest player in this space and probably the most consistent in terms of volume and what they put out, the MCU, I have, from a future prospect standpoint, I think you kind of look at what they've done, and I think the third strike out of however many strikes we're going to give it, they're not necessarily out, but you had Secret Invasion, which kind of portrayed something it really wasn't. And then you had Echo portray something it really wasn't, especially at the Marvel Spotlight thing. That's probably one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. But then What If, which is coming out in just a few weeks, really feels separate from the momentum I think Agatha gave. From the standpoint now, the marketing all of a sudden is changing, and it's like the final part of What If. And I'm like, what final part of What If? Like, there's supposed to be parts of What If? Like, okay, sure. What's next? And they're just like, it's going to tie into Doomsday and Secret Wars. And I'm like, why? Like, gross. Like, if it does, and you're going to bring these brand new characters into the MCU now at this stage of the game, why didn't you bring Supreme Strange into the MCU from the very beginning, from season 1? Whatever. That's a whole different gripe. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Had Multiverse of Madness
I
right
mean,
there to play with.
Literally, and they're just like,
thank
it's
you.
not a good idea.
Thank you. And the thing is, too, it's like season 2 felt like an end.
Totally.
Like, you could clearly tell from the first season they were setting up Supreme Strange, and then what do? They burn it all in one episode, and then they're like, "But we're gonna end it."
Yeah.
And then, I'm sorry, I don't get me wrong, I'm excited for the episode because I think it can be a very intriguing episode. But why is Storm in here? Where is this coming from? Because technically, What If is canon to the MCU.
Right.
By all, loosely, but it is. So you're telling me that our first big major MCU mutant is Storm. Not a bad choice. Great choice. But in What If? That's where we get him? Where did she come from? And why is the Watcher just going to be like, oh, her? Storm. Oh, you're right. Oh, look at her wielding Thor's hammer.
Which, by the way, I mean, Storm at this point, what if can't hold a
I mean, we saw
candlestick?
Hela
Right?
with the 10 rings. That like,
No,
what's
we saw Captain
more
Carter with everything.
yeah.
You can't top that. She's just like, I'm done. I'm just gonna chill at the tree and just be like, Watcher's like, check this out. And she's like, oh, cool. Where does this go? And they're like, find out in What If season 3 finale.
Yeah.
It's
And then he's like,
okay.
look at this mutant. And she's going to be like, can you call them that? He's
Yeah.
going to be like, yes, I can. I, what is this? Where is this coming from? It makes no sense. No sense. And then the bigger thing, and this is just me now going into a mini rant of What If. It's so inconsistent because you have a very intriguing episode in Storm wielding Mjolnir. Then you're like, have a cowboy adventure with Shang-Chi and Kate Bishop.
That's my biggest gripe with What If. I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. It's a freaking anthology series. It's not an anthology series, and it pisses me off. I was talking to Minty about this, actually. Minty, if you're still here, chime in. But it's just like, it pissed me off. I hated the pacing of it, of just being like, everything is so connected, and then boom, 2 episodes where it's just like, what the heck is going on? And then Drop Shadow is connected to like season 1, episode 3. And I'm like, why are we going back a whole season and a half? Like, I just.
But to that point though, think about that shift of where, and again, this is this truly is going to show you the state of Marvel television, specifically MCU television, because the premise of What If season 1 was connecting to the Infinity Saga and moments that happened from there that we were like, I mean, literally the simple is, what if the other half was snapped? Like, just tell us stories about things that fan theories that were going around at the time that just couldn't happen or didn't happen. But now you get What If that's trying to compare to What If. And again, it just feels like same thing that I was saying with Scarlet Witch, Agatha. Then you get your other characters where it's like you have these drops in quality of character, but then just unfathomable introductions. But then again, it's loosely tied in. So it's like, me as a fan, what am I supposed to think? Like when people are like, hey, did you like Storm's introduction in the MCU? Like, no. Like, no, I didn't. It's just a missed opportunity to capitalize on what literally just happened before you. And if you bring Agatha in as some like world musical person, that's stupid. I don't want to see that. Don't give me that. Give me some What If episodes of like, what if Scarlet Witch actually, what if Billy resurrected Wanda or something along those lines? Yeah, okay, maybe I'm here for that. And that somehow gives you an idea into the next story that's going to be told. Again,
And I get power scale people too. Or help with the power scaling.
well, they're going to give Sam Wilson a mech suit to fight gamma beings.
Okay,
So
yo, I
that's how he fights.
lie.
That's how he fights Red Hulk. You know what I mean? He's gonna
I can't
gun him
lie.
up.
That mech episode is going to freaking cook. I can't wait for that.
And that's what I mean. What If should genuinely, I think, be used to maybe explore some of the MCU stuff, right? Like the Marvel Zombies thing, I think was pretty cool. The Ant-Man episode from season 1 was pretty neat. This where they're doing the tech Avengers, that's pretty cool. Because honestly, we're never gonna get that.
Right.
We're never gonna get that in live action. And that's okay. We don't need it, but it's pretty cool to see it in an anthology series because you're using an anthology series to really go for it.
Like Visions doesn't, or Star Wars Visions. It should be like that.
Exactly. But to your point of Vision, I think Ultron in Vision's body being the main villain for season 1 was a great choice because you're not going to see that again, Yeah. So explore that. What if that happened? This is what would happen. He's going to rule the universe or he's going to go after the universe. It's pretty neat to see. But then you have, and this is not a diss on Kahori because I think she was very well done. But then you have Kahori. And realistically, she shouldn't be in What If. I get why they introduced her in What If. But is What If the best choice to start introducing heroes like that? You know what I mean? It's the best choice, but is it the best use of your title for the show? I
No,
don't think
no,
so.
no,
Like
no,
you
no.
waste the title of the show to really, because you could do, instead of, for example, what if Ned Leeds got Spider-Man's powers instead of Peter Parker?
For sure.
It'd be a stupid, silly episode, but you know what? It'd be fun.
That's the mix still for me of like, it's a really great opportunity for Marvel Studios, or can I call them Marvel Studios since it's technically Marvel Animation, but it's a TV show, so is it Marvel Television? I'm not sure. But
It's complicated.
a little bit, a little
Yeah.
bit, a little bit. But that blend is missing from the special aura that season 1 had, to your point, of mixing in that, hey, this is a really beloved storyline. This is a really great movie. Here's kind of an alternative twist to those characters or something that happened, but we're weaving that in with an overall main storyline of something that legitimately could happen in the MCU. I like the far-fetched things, but I also do like, again, that crossover connectivity aspect of things that really was missing in season 2, but feels like it's going to be missing. And to going back to like posing this whole thing, the premise of it ties into the bigger multiversal live action stuff, whether that's bringing like a Kahori over, I'm not excited about that. And that's really where I wanted to kind of go with this, is just like the premise doesn't get me excited for the future, where What If really, really should get you excited in a way that, in my opinion, a Creature Commandos would get you excited for the next step in the DCU.
Man,
Perfect.
you stole my question.
Sorry, dog. I'm sorry.
Perfect thing that I was just thinking that as well.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, how do you think it would differ, or how does like this animation to crossover differ from what DC's animation to live action crossover?
The core foundation of it for me is you would get an opportunity to world build and create new headcanons for people. So when you ultimately get to these stories, I'm sorry, no reason why we shouldn't have a Nova Corps. No reason why we shouldn't have an understand. What time is it? 9? Oh,
Yeah, I think he
Daylight
came a little
savings.
later.
You didn't have
He
his
came
daylight savings on.
Yeah, he came a little later. I think he didn't adjust his car's clock. Yeah.
Somebody needs to go through and edit just every single fucking sound, every
time
single
car,
time
yeah.
where the car goes by.
Make it our new intro.
It's the same dude. It's the same guy.
Hilarious, dude. No. Quickly, it's just like, that's my big thing, is world building, and that's my expectation with Creature Commandos. And I think that goes back to Hero and Spider-Man, what you were saying before, is like, the shows tell you what it's going to be, and they deliver upon that and then expand on it, right? It's a big thing for James Gunn. World building. Every place is going to feel unique. The Penguin, Gotham feels super unique, and you know what Gotham stands for, you know what Gotham is, and you know who crawls around in Gotham.
And that's why I think, for example, What If doing the Marvel Zombies episode was a good segue into a Marvel Zombie show.
Yeah.
It's something that ideally people do want, but maybe thought we would never get. But now with What If opening that door, you're able to open the world to the Marvel universe in a different way, which I think is what What If should really do, where you're kind of testing out these little things to see what lands, and then you keep expanding on that if it lands well, which Marvel Zombies did for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And now it's getting its own show.
Yeah.
And I think Creature Commandos is going to kind of do the same thing, where you're going to keep going with it. And I think the best example is Rick Flag Sr., where that's going to play into maybe Peacemaker. It's going to play into other parts of the DCU, more than likely. You know, you establish those relationships early on for people.
Yeah.
And while still making something new and fun, because that's what Creature Commandos kind of looks like. For example, whenever they do the Blue Beetle series, you can introduce some cool things there without having to kind of sacrifice Blue Beetle or anybody else.
Right.
Yeah.
I
You
agree.
can bring in a Plastic Man. You can bring in a Booster Gold, or another Blue Beetle. Whatever you want to do.
More logical testing of the waters for certain things. I mean, it should be the prototype, but kind of with that, Spider Brando, with this being potentially the final season of What If, who knows? What
Please.
what would have been your biggest what if scenario that you would have pulled in that could have tied to the greater MCU? Don't
That's
be
a
shy now.
tough one. That's a tough question.
I really thought you were going to say one specific thing, like quick.
I would have really liked this. Well, because you said tie into the MCU, so it has to make sense.
Well, nothing makes sense for them, so it could be anything. So.
That's true. My gut wants to say
Morlun attacks Spider Brando. What if Morlun attacks Spider Brando?
I'll take that. I'll take that.
What if point two podcast?
Oh my god. I think my gut wants to say I really want to see an Arachnite. I really, really want to see Arachnite so bad.
It's not out of the realm of possibility.
Ooh. I like that, actually. I like that. It could have been, what is it? Infinity Warps?
And then imagine this. A symbiotic Arachnite.
What if can't handle that?
Yeah, what if
Sony
wouldn't be able to do that?
Sony wouldn't let me handle it. It's shaking my head.
I like it.
I think for me, I think they really should have done Supreme Strange better. That's still an open wound. I think. Hopefully, they bring him back somehow. Hopefully. I don't think they are, but I'd say either that, or I think a really cool way that they could have maybe played with the MCU is what if like Captain America and Iron Man weren't your big players? Like, who would be the big players of the MCU? Because they kind of do that. Huh?
Yeah. I was going to say, what if they're like, what if they did like they're not the anchor being? Again, just an assumption of whatever that is.
Yeah. Because they kind of do it, but they kind of don't, because Captain Carter is now the stand-in for Captain America. So it's like kind of the same thing. So yeah, I think that would have been a neat way to see like what the MCU could have looked like. Oh, what if scenario?
Yeah. I know this would be egregious for many, many parties that may listen to this. But with just the timing and the money and the relationship and the hostage situation that may or may not be going on with Spider-Man specifically for Sony, I would have thought one of the coolest things they could have done is what if the Beyond the Spider-Verse or Across the Spider-Verse or Into the Spider-Verse was in the MCU, and you do kind of that crossover. I mean, the animation would be ridiculous. I don't even know how you would pull that off. I'm not smart enough to even fathom the idea of how that would happen. But if you did go multiversal and we're at the point that we're at, I think it'd have been super cool to have a what if episode, even if it's a one-shot what if episode, but after Beyond the Spider-Verse or after Across the Spider-Verse, you got just like a snippet of like he goes through a portal and he ends up in the MCU, but then you get him out.
Like what if Peter Parker wasn't the only Spider-Man?
Kind of, yeah, something like that. Something like that. I think that would be kind of cool. And like if you got like Spider-Gwen and just kind of like the core crew, even if they wanted to scrap and they don't want to do that like 2099. Like that'd be a brand new, like to imagine 2099 crossing over even with what if animation and just kind of pull that character over. I thought that'd be cool to kind of get the the tie-ins, because again, there's loose threads that are tying these pieces together, so I don't think it'd be too far-fetched. But I think people would lose their minds if something like that happened.
100%.
And that's how I feel What If should be. It should be, if it's going to end, it should be an event level type thing that, I mean, again, Spider-Brand, I'll defer to you on this one, but like, when was the last time they really pushed any project to the forefront and made it feel like a really, really, really big deal and just hyped it?
Besides Deadpool and Wolverine.
Kind of. I mean, but did they?
Not
I mean,
really fully.
Not. It was felt super standalone. It felt super standalone.
Okay, I see. Okay.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
celebrating the
I see
MCU
what you're saying
specifically.
now. I see what you're saying.
It's just like, hey, guess what? The TVA is going to pull in all your best characters. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
You know, you did bring up something though that I have been wanting to get off my chest on a cool what if scenario. What if Marvel versus DC?
Too soon.
You're about 10 years too early.
One day it could happen.
Yeah. Put the ancient one here. You're about 10 years too early. Or whatever she says to Hulk.
Yeah. I last thing I'll say to this, just current state feel before we get into 2025. I think I can say with like 95% confidence, my gut says that the DCU is going to smash the MCU in terms of how they leverage live action and animation go forward. It's just already feels super cohesive. We're already hyped for, it feels fresh. It feels organized. It feels transparent. It feels solid. It feels like it's got a really good foundation, especially with the lanterns. Now we get the Blue Beetle, confirmation it's going to carry over. Creature Commandos is going to do so much more, in my opinion, than what people expect it to do, leading up and kind of setting that soft DCU intro. And for those that say like, well, it's easy to do it because it's, it's brand new. If you really look at the MCU right now, it's kind of brand new of what they're setting up for the next two Avengers movies. So they're kind of playing the same game right now in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah, very true. One final question, because I think this will probably be the last time that we kind of focus on just the show aspect before the year ends and restarts and we get new stuff. Final grade for the TV shows, or kind of superhero genre TV shows. What grade are you giving it right now and 2024? What's your letter grade? Where are we sitting at? Me, B. Solid B.
I was gonna say solid B.
I was thinking B plus.
I thought about B plus, and then I kept thinking about Agatha, and I was like, shoot. Pulls it back down. No B.
The only thing the only one that truly is kind of like not making me give it the B plus is What If, just because I have to. I'm going to push it down ahead of time.
A preemptive fail.
Yeah, because I think if it ended where it is now, I think it's getting like A minus. Yeah, because it was a very good year for superhero TV.
I think overall, in hindsight, for sure, I think it was a solid B, which I would, consider definitely above average if you kind of go through all your own rankings and individual basis. Still carried by X-Men 97, for sure.
Yeah. Shout out Sleepy Brando.
No, I'm just yawning. I was just fixing my plastic.
Should we put the challenge back out?
Dude, that challenge has been out. I'm still waiting for someone to do it.
Yeah.
But no one knows about the challenge because I haven't clipped it for social media yet, so it's just buried in a live stream. Just like me falling asleep is buried in a live stream.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Sleepy Brando scavenger hunt.
If anyone was still watching this, the prize has not been claimed. I have fallen asleep during a live stream within the last, I don't even know if it's been 2024 or 2023 or not.
It was this year.
It was this year?
Yeah,
I
I'm
have
pretty
no
sure it
sense
was.
of like look back time. Like literally, I said this was Spider-Man 2 gonna win Game of the Year. I legitimately was like, oh, that just came out not that
Dude,
long ago.
listen, dude. Before I started talking about Invincible, I had to make sure it came out this year. So I like went back to our YouTube timeline and I had to make sure when we talked about it.
Year. I can't lie.
Been
You
a
start
long-
talking about XO97. I'm like, holy shit, that was 2024.
It was like
It
April,
feels
May, yeah.
so
Yeah,
long ago, which is wild.
Dude, how do you think I felt about Invincible? Where that was February.
Echo, man, Echo was freaking January.
No, Echo was November
End of
last year.
Wait, what? No, it
Yeah,
wasn't.
I promise you it was.
yeah, because it went Loki, then Captain
JK, it was
Marvel or the
January
Marvels.
9th.
Is it January?
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it because
JK.
December
Oh, no.
It was What If was last year.
Yeah, you know what it
What If
was?
season
It
2?
was November. Then they delayed it because we talked about the delay. That's what it was. Wow, look at you, SB.
I know my stuff sometimes.
You do. It's not even that. It's just who would have remembered Echo's release date?
Marvel Spotlight, baby. Just is that one of the? Was that rated R?
It was
Yes.
TVMA.
TVMA.
So
Yeah.
yes.
Wow.
I don't know, man. It wasn't
Wow.
too. More like mildly. No, that was. I don't know. I
Ooh.
can't think of a
Okay.
word.
In honor of this is the last thing, and I swear I'll zip it. In honor of just TV shows, kind of as they are before things change. Do you have one specific MCU show that you think is going to age poorly because of the next character appearance?
Echo.
Yeah,
Dang
I'd
it.
have to say Echo as well.
You can't go down from 0 at this point.
Well, no, the thing is, Daredevil Born Again is right there, and based on the trailer, Kingpin is already just better.
Deleted the show.
Yeah, they were just like, "Oh, Echo, that didn't happen." And he was like, "What about your like adopted daughter?" And he was like, "I don't know who that is."
Who?
Who? Maya Lopez? He's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know who that is.
Didn't you have an eye patch? Like what?
No. Didn't.
No.
He was like, "No, I don't know what you're talking about."
Yeah, no. But no, she definitely. Wow, we could just if you completely skip Echo, you could just use the end of Hawkeye and then just segue it straight to the next thing. You can just be like, "Oh, that happened." Like,
Yeah.
dog, you got shot in the face,
And he lived.
Yeah.
and he lived.
And that makes him infinitely better than anything Echo ever did. Like you could just be like, "Hey, did he get shot?" And be like, "Yeah, he survived. He's that good."
Yeah.
You'd be like,
Yeah.
"Oh man, the Kingpin's
You know what
cool."
he did in Echo.
Yeah, the Kingpin's cool.
Stood by the swing.
He went to the fair menacingly.
Yeah. Guys, I'm gonna throw this out here as maybe a blasphemous conversation piece, but I'm gonna say Loki season 2.
Based on whose
I
appearance?
agree with it.
Based on the non-appearance.
Mm.
If you think about it, we've already
honestly,
gotten
it has a hard rewatchability.
kind of. You have No Kang, where's Mobius? Hunter B-15 apparently is just this superhero now that just running the TVA like it's nobody's business. Loki's just sitting there and he's about to get smacked upside the head by Robert Downey Jr. again.
By evil Robert Downey Jr.
Is Loki season 2 kind of going to be deemed pointless?
In hindsight, probably. And I think the Kang stuff has more. But
That's what I'm saying. Rewatchability. Why would I watch it again?
But Doomsday can still maybe not make it pointless. Okay. It just depends. What If could also maybe not make it pointless if they're going to go down the infinite time loom thingy and infinite branches.
It's so messy.
It's so messy. They're not going to do it. Messy. But I agree. Yeah.
I think
R.I.P. Loki season 2.
I got red flags on Loki season 2. I may never watch it again, or I may not have to watch it again. That's the hard part. Do I have to watch it? Do I need to do homework and watch Loki season 2 going forward?
Nah. Just watch the last episode. That's all you need.
Okay.
Just watch the reviews on it.
Yeah.
I have a astute observation. This is kind of random, but I was watching Fantastic Four on Monday, and Loki straight up ripped off scenes from Fantastic Four.
Oh no, we're not talking about that. No. Loki did not do no such thing.
Dude, when the whole thing with the time loom of them having to like go hit that button and then run back to make it in time, straight out of Fantastic Four with cosmic rays. I've been having to go back into the spaceship. Like it was legit, like fucking door closing. They were all waiting for it, and Ben was in his space suit or whatever.
Coincidence. Did Loki turn into rocks? No.
No.
Hey,
so then
listen,
he did.
listen,
So then he
listen.
didn't
I'm
steal
just
from
saying
me.
that was a cool observation.
Coincidence?
When I was watching that, I was like, "Oh shit, this is like what happened in Loki." But then I'm like, "Wait, this movie came out like 20 years before Loki existed."
No.
Come on now, fellas. Maybe it's not a coincidence. We got some rumors floating around here.
No.
Listen.
No.
We got some rumors on X floating around here that Kevin Feige showed the Fantastic Four team Galactus from Fortnite to get the design right. Fortnite.
Galactus from Fortnite? Hold on.
I'm just saying. Apparently the Drew Disney dude is out here spreading some stuff. Kevin Feige's like, this is how you gotta do it.
That's not a bad Galactus design.
I love this. Norman Osborn. Dr. Doom in Fantastic Four is just Norman Osborn. I'm saying
that I can agree with. But
Doom's still better, sorry.
That Dr. Doom is terrible.
I can officially say that after watching.
What a trash movie, dude. What a trash movie.
It was fun to rewatch. It's a fun movie though. Like I had a lot of fun watching it.
But if you know it's a trash movie going, I mean, you can enjoy trash. I mean, I like,
yeah, I guess it's like how Venom 3 was for me.
True. Okay.
I forgot that movie came out. Oops. Craven. Oh, dude, Gladiator and Craven. The end of my year. Sorry, Sonic. But the end of my year.
Oh, dude, I forgot Gladiator's coming out.
Comes out next week.
Yeah.
I forgot about
I'm gonna see Sonic too. I got 3 movies to look forward to.
Yeah. And what if season 3?
No. I will watch episode 1 and I will make my determination if I'm going to continue to watch it or not.
That's fair.
And it's really going to rely on the animation. If the animation's Garbo, which...
What do you mean? We're not going to do a short for every episode?
We're not going to
I regret it. I was on vacation and took time out of my day to watch that versus I could have been in Disney. And I decided, I was like, it's my day to do the review. And I'm standing outside the lobby and I'm like, man, I did not love that episode or whatever.
Oh man, it was those Discord chats were so funny, dude, because we would text each other what we felt, and it would just be like,
do this.
And it was so funny because it was like if we didn't watch that episode that night, we would just wake up to like one of us just being like, oh, I don't want to review this.
We basically like drew sticks for like, which one do you really want to do, like based off of the titles? And I think we narrowed it down to like we all wanted to do the Hello one, I think. Or that I don't know. It was
I think I ended up getting it. And I hated the episode, which is the annoying part because I thought I was gonna fucking love it.
The funny thing is, I think what we all ended up doing was we gave each other one that we wanted to do, and then we all got one we just had zero interest in doing.
I remember you got screwed with the Christmas Iron Man, or the happy one.
No, I got the stupid Scar one. I think it was.
Oh yeah.
And something else. I can't remember.
Dark Times at the point 3.
Oh, December of 2023.
Now that felt like a long time ago.
I mean, at this point, Almost a year.
Almost a year.
Yeah.
So you got to
Crazy.
stay on point with point 3.
Are they doing that again though? Are they releasing like one a day per holiday?
I fucking hope not.
Because if
It's so annoying that they did it every day.
I was gonna say, because if it is, then we kind of have to do the shorts again. I think if they're gonna keep the tradition, we have to as well.
I mean, I'm down. I'm down.
I'm down.
I'm down.
I'm down.
I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen anything about What If. Like I've had to search
We
for
saw the
What If
trailer.
stuff.
That was it.
Hold on, I'll tell you right now before we leave.
Because if it comes down to it, I want the episode with Supreme Strange.
Okay, you guys ready? Season
Ready.
3.
Don't drag it out. Don't drag it out. Don't drag it out. Don't drag.
Okay, all it says is season 3 arrives December 22nd.
Merry
Maybe it's
Christmas.
dropping all at once.
Yeah, that's all it says. So I guess
They do 22nd, 20 through 31st. I think that's 8. Yeah, that'll be 9 days.
Dude. I hope
There
they
you
don't
go.
drop it all at once. But I like the daily thing.
It was fun. It was fun. As much as we rag on it for not liking certain episodes, it was a good idea, I think.
If the episodes are good, I'll love it. If they're not good, then I'll be like, that was maybe a waste of a week plus. But just a few
I'd
hours.
rather just drop them all at once. I could just grind it with my family on Christmas Eve.
Nice.
Yeah.
Vanilla Chris Grinder for MCU. Nice.
Yeah, like Minty said, grind don't stop. Grind don't
Grind
stop.
don't stop. Grind
But
don't stop.
if you want to know what we think of it, you know where you got to be, gents. Where do they got to be? I think they got to be in our Discord, right?
Or Discord.
Yeah, they got to be in our Discord.
But why not both?
Why not both? But Discord eats
I
first.
don't know where my freaking banners are right now.
Yeah.
I changed everything. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. We will talk about it on socials, but Discord eats first. So make sure you're over on Discord because not only we're doing that, we got some movie nights coming up too. We got a lot of fun stuff planned, especially now with the end of the year coming up. We're planning the year end stuff now. So be on the lookout for that. But everybody, this has been another Point 3 live stream Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're not, please subscribe, follow us here, follow us on our social medias. Like we just said, we appreciate everybody who chose to spend their Wednesday night, a little bit of it with us. So thank you so much. Once again, we have been your favorite trio of hosts, Spider Brando, Lou, and myself, Hero Scroll. 3 very important things you gotta always keep doing until our next Wednesday live stream. You need to keep watching. You need to keep reading. You need to keep nerding out. Everybody have a great night, and we will see you next time.